Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tom Mike. I'm so glad you're here. What do we got going on? Well, we got the markets, right? They made that record high back on Fed Day, and they kind of come in a little bit, trying to run back up, going to come down a little bit. But watch the HYG. Watch the junk bonds, if you will. The junk bonds are where you can see if there's liquidity or no liquidity. They've fallen below the 20-day. If they fall below the 50-day and stay there for a couple of days, this thing's going to be a very, very painful for a lot of people, because a lot of people think their market's going to just keep going up, and that's just not the case. You take away the liquidity, this market's going to come down so fast, a lot of pain's going to be there. But maybe they print money and get that HYG, buy the junk bonds, get them to go back up. We'll see how that plays out. If it falls below the 50-day, stays there for a couple days, run for the hills. That's just my take. You got to do you. I got to do me. But the HYG, it's such a good indicator. Always leads, right? It leads the market down, leads the market up. The market is a few days behind it, but it always follows. Anyways, let's talk about today a little bit about how we got into the mess that we're in. I mean, basically, we're living through a failed economic experiment, right? I mean, back in 1971, Nixon takes us off the gold standard. We go 100% fiat, right? And it's an economic experiment. Now, we've lost 99% of the purchasing power. They turned the dollar into a penny. That's what they did when they took us off the gold standard. See, people think that gold failed us. Gold didn't fail us. They took us off the standard. Gold standard was doing perfectly fine, but they want to print unlimited money, and we've lost 99% of our purchasing power. Now, we've also got a failed Keynesian economics experiment going on. Now, the Federal Reserve, they're all Keynesian economists. Now, the difference between a Keynesian economist and an Austrian economist is the Keynesian economists, they like to tinker with things. We're going to print some money. We're going to raise rates. We're going to lower rates. We got all these tools in the toolbox. Austrian economy, we like free money, right? I mean, let it be free. All anonymous money, right? I mean, God's money, not so much, but it's real money. It's not the fake money. We like free markets is what I meant to say when I said free, right? The money's not free. You got to work and earn it. But when you work and earn fiat money, you're pretty much a slave. When you work and earn gold and silver money, then you got real wealth that you're working for. Right now, people that go to a job, they make 20, 40, 50 bucks an hour. They're working for debt. They give you those debt instruments, which are the dollar, right? That's not real wealth. So you're the slave to the system as long as you stay in their system. But you do have an option. You can get out of their system, go into gold and silver, which is the real money. And that's what the Austrian economists like. But the Keynesian economists are all the Federal Reserve, right? Now explain to me why we need a balance sheet at the Federal Reserve. Why does the Federal Reserve have to be the last buyer of last resort, right? Why do they have to buy everything? They were up to 9 trillion. We're down to 7 trillion. We're going to hit 15 trillion, 20 trillion on their balance sheet, because the Federal Reserve, Keynesian economists, they hate the free markets, right? They won't let the market go free. You see, one thing that should be free is interest rates. Let it go where the supply and demand is for money. But no, we got to fix that. We got to fix the interest rates, right? And what they create is the problem, right? They create these zombie companies. Now, what's a zombie company? It's basically a company that doesn't bring in enough cash flow to even pay the interest on their debt, right? So they have to borrow more money, go farther into debt, right? Borrow more money just to pay the interest. And the Federal Reserve loves this, because then the company stays in business. You see, with the Austrian economists, we believe in having recessions. We believe that some business models are bad business models and they should go out of business. They should be punished for having a bad business model. The Keynesian economist thinks every business that ever starts should keep going no matter how much money it loses, right? Because they'll just keep lowering the interest rate and loaning them money. And that's why we have all these zombie companies walking around. And they're really just following the leadership of our government. I would argue that our government is a zombie government, right? I mean, we don't bring in enough well, enough tax revenues to pay off everything and still have money left to pay the interest on our debt. So we have to borrow more and more from the Federal Reserve, right? This is just the way that it works. So we got a zombie companies, we got a zombie government, and now we're heading into the zombie apocalypse, really is what we're heading into, right? I mean, it's a failed experiment by printing all the money, by taking us off the gold standard, by putting us into a pure fiat system. It's a failed experiment by all these Keynesian economists in the Federal Reserve. I think the Federal Reserve should go away. You can read the book, Creature from Jekyll Island. They were started in 1913 on Jekyll Island. Very evil, very demonic what they'd started there. Look, they're not part of our government. They're a separate corporation, right? And we can get rid of them just as easily as we started them in 1913. It's my take that we should get rid of them. Now, look at their balance sheet that they got. What are they buying? What do they buy? They buy the bond market, right? What else do they buy? They buy the mortgage-backed security. 9 trillion, right? Well, only 3 trillion of mortgage-backed securities. The rest are the bond market. But if you took them out of the market, do you think there'd be a big bubble in the housing market? No, there wouldn't. Housing market would adjust to the free market. What about the stock market? Would there be this big, enormous bubble that we have to print an extra $2 to $4 trillion a year to keep it inflated up? No, that would be out, right? You see, the Federal Reserve is the cause of this by having this balance sheet with 7 trillion, 9 trillion, be 15 trillion, 20 trillion. They can print as much as they want. We have to get rid of the Federal Reserve. You see, they cut the rate. And now they tell you that they're serving the people. They're serving me and you, and that's why they had to cut the rate. I say BS to that. The reason they had to cut the rate is because they have to serve their master. Now, who's their master? It's the banking cartel. It's the banking system, right? That is the master of the Federal Reserve, and they need to cut the rates to save them, right? They need to cut the rates to save the hedge funds. That's what they're doing, right? Now, what else are they doing? Well, they're stopping quantitative tightening. Now, what's quantitative tightening? It's running the money off of the balance sheet, right? It was 9 trillion, and they did quantitative tightening to get it to 7 trillion. But now we stop because we can't go any lower because everything's blowing up on them. They know it, you know it, I know it, and they know they're in trouble. They're in panic mode. They had to cut the rate, and they'll cut the rate again. And by January, we'll be doing 1% rate cuts until we get down to 0. And they're going to try to get it to go negative. It's negative in real terms already. We got inflation at 8%. They're down at 4%. We're at negative 4% when you talk about real money and real dollars. But those Keynesian economists don't like to talk in real terms. That's why they hate gold. That's why they hate silver. They don't want us to ever go back to that. But what happens after quantitative tightening? You go to quantitative easing, right? That's the next step. We're at 7 trillion. We're going to start buying stuff, get the balance sheet up. There should not be any balance sheet. We should have free markets. Now, I come out here and I scream and yell at you that you got to protect yourself. You got to protect yourself from the evil Federal Reserve. You got to protect yourself from the evil politicians. They're going to keep spending the money. Federal Reserve is going to keep printing the money. You got to protect yourself. You got to get into God's money, get into the gold, get into the silver. So how do you go? But Mike, I'm in crypto. I got the Trump coin and the Melania coin, and I'll throw in 2 fart coins with it. Look, at that may or may not save you, but I don't believe it will. But Mike, there's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum. They're going to save us. I don't think so. Maybe they will. You take your shot there. I'll go with God's money. I said it before. I'll say it again. Anyone that thinks man can make better money than God is a complete fool. That's just my take. Your take's completely different, especially if you're in the crypto cult, as I would call it. It is a cult, right? I mean, can't say bad stuff against Bitcoin. People get upset. They'll leave me nasty comments, and that's okay. But the Federal Reserve is not your friend. They're not helping you. They're not serving you. They're serving their master, the banking cartel, the hedge funds, if you will. That's who their master is. That's who they're serving. Who are they hurting? They're hurting you. They're hurting me. How do they hurt us? They hurt us by printing money. Every dollar they print makes our dollar worth less and less, right? Every dollar they print, we go farther into the hole, right? Now, the billionaires, every dollar they print If you got all the assets, and that's how you get rich, and I want to talk a little bit about that, you got to have assets if you want to become wealthy. You don't get wealthy from working anymore. You can work at McDonald's and go buy silver coins with your paycheck, right? And I'm willing to bet that in 5 years, you're going to be a very wealthy person just from buying silver, I think it's the cheapest asset on the planet right now. And I think if you buy it now, you're going to be thanking Tall Mike down the road when the 10X is from here. Let's call it $50 now. When it gets to 500, then we'll talk about what to trade that for. But right now, you just want to get some assets to protect yourself from what's going on. You see, they're making life harder for you, harder for me, right? They're decimating the middle class. Forget about the middle class. Poor people can't afford to eat. You have to protect yourself. The Federal Reserve is not your friend. Now look, they say, but Mike, we got AI coming. AI is going to increase the productivity. And look, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'm not really sure. When we had the internet, right? The internet made a lot of people wealthy, and it created a lot of jobs, right? Now, my take is that AI is going to do away with a lot of jobs. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Matter of fact, we're talking about that right now. We got the best economy out there. Just ask Donald Trump, right? But why are we losing all these jobs? Microsoft, 15,000. UPS, 48,000. Look, do you know what's coming up? I'll give you a hint if you don't. It's Christmas, right? Let's lay off 50,000 drivers right before Christmas because nobody can afford Christmas presents, so we don't need to deliver them, right? Let's lay off all those people. UPS right before Christmas? In the old days, right, they'd run all the ads. Come work for us. It's a seasonal job, but we need all the help we can get. We don't need that help anymore because the economy's doing a nosedive right now, but no one wants to talk about it. Even Amazon laying off 15,000 people. Everybody's blaming AI for this. I don't think AI's job losses have even kicked in yet. Those are coming, right? I mean, more and more job losses are coming. But this economy's in a lot of trouble. They say we have a great economy, right? Now, we had two shadow banks, if you will, shadow banks. A shadow bank is one that borrows the money from the real bank, and then they got the money, and then they go out and make these subprime auto loans, right? Two of these auto loan companies went out of business. Both lost over $1 billion each, right? $1 billion just got wiped out. So that's real money. Somebody lost that, right? And the banks lost it. They're going to have to take a hit. They're embarrassed about it. Even Jamie Dimon says he was embarrassed loaning money to these cockroaches, that gave out these bad auto loans. But auto loans, the reason it is, people can't pay them back. There's never been more delinquencies in auto loans than there is right now. Credit card delinquencies, there's never been more credit card delinquencies than there is right now. Household debt to income level in the United States, 125%. Household debt to income level, 125%. By the way, that is a record, right? I mean, everything in our economy is based on debt. We have a debt-based economy, and this is going to end very poor. Going to hurt a lot of people. A lot of pain is coming, but don't talk about this at the family dinner tonight. Look, I don't get invited to parties. I know why, because I'm going to talk about this stuff. I'm going to upset a lot of people. That's why I started the channel, so I have me and you. We can talk about this, but don't talk about it with your family and friends. If you want to keep your family and friends around, they won't invite you over at Christmas time. Look, I got nowhere to go at Christmas. That's all right, but anyways, you don't want to talk about this stuff because it's scary for a lot of people. You can talk about the stablecoin market. That's scary as can be, and that's a whole nother video. We're not going to talk about that today, but these auto companies, they're blowing up, right? And they're having repercussions to other parts of the economy. And you can see that by the firings at UPS, by the firings at Amazon. Those are big consumer companies. Those are big consumer delivery companies. There's nothing to deliver during the Christmas season because the consumer is tapped out. Yes, we have billionaires. We create more billionaires than any other country in the world, right? Why? Because we got the printing press. We can print as many billionaires as we want. By the time this is all over, I'm willing to bet you're a billionaire and I'm a billionaire. Then again, a loaf of bread may cost $1 billion. If you like this stuff, give me the thumbs up, punch the subscribe button. Get out there, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.